Next week, it all starts. We'll talk about it throughout the season. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week.
All right, talk to you soon, Jerry. Thanks.
You got it. Eddy Jansen, More Than a Fan Cleveland. You guys can check him out there. Tweet with him at Eddy Jansen, EDDY, Jansen30. And we'll be back after this, talking some football. Let's shift gears a little bit. It is a long way. I hear AC/DC in the background. A long way, not just to the top, but it's a long way to the playoffs here for the NBA. It'll be a while before we... And then the playoffs go for a while, though. So they got the playoffs that never end sometimes. I'm telling you, the 2 months of NBA playoffs. All right, when we come back, let's shift gears, give you some news, and then start talking some Browns football, as we've got Jeff Gorman and Ryan Ruiz next up on the slate. We're going to talk about the Browns, the Raiders, coming up first. Raiders Scouting Report. That's Jeff Gorman's department from Browns101.com. Then Ryan Ruiz with the Dawg Bones victory. Don't go anywhere. Here comes some news, and then Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com joins us next, previewing the Raiders after the news.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good,
It
though.
could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was
Get
terrible.
him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the sideline!
In-depth, personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. Another night, another record. Peyton Manning has now passed for at least 20 touchdowns in 16 different seasons. That breaks a record held by Brett Favre. He threw for 3 touchdowns in Denver's 35-21 win over San Diego in Thursday Night Football, and Emmanuel Sanders caught all 3 of them.
On any given night, it could be anybody's night. And so I think that's the reason those guys are playing so well, because they're all running full-speed routes because they know the ball might come to them. We're trying to get everybody involved. Certainly sometimes it's going to be one guy's night over another.
Manning now has 22 touchdown passes this season. The win ups the Broncos' lead over the Chargers in the AFC West to a game and a half. Lions offensive tackle LaAdrian Waddle, who missed practice the last 2 days following a concussion, did practice today but isn't sure if he'll be medically cleared to play against Atlanta on Sunday in London. Giants reliever Tim Lincecum, who left Game 2 of the World Series when his back tightened, is expected to be available tonight for Game 3, 7 Eastern Time on ESPN Radio. An MRI yesterday revealed no structural damage. It will be Jeremy Guthrie versus Tim Hudson tonight. Series tied at 1.
After 75,000 miles, hidden causes of breakdown like leaks and sludge can shorten the life of your engine. Extend the life of your engine with the proven protection of Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil. Valvoline, 140 years under the hood.
You're listening to The Sports Fix.
welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you, rolling on, getting ready to talk some football here. Thanks to my man Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland with us. He's going to be with us throughout the basketball season. Some good conversations. I like Eddy. So far, we've had some good segments, got a lot of good feedback from you guys, too. And keep the conversation rolling with us. Facebook and Twitter and email. I'm telling you guys all the time. I love, as you could tell when I mentioned it earlier, I love to hear that you're listening in Timbuktu or you're listening. I'm telling you, if I started to list, now you're making me do it. If I started to list some of the cities and countries, you'd be like, what? How does somebody end up there? But it's crazy. Listening, they're from Cleveland, man. We're spread out all over. We are strong. We are Cleveland, baby. But anyways, thanks to Eddy Jansen for being with us. You guys, let me know where you're listening to the show. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. Now, we're going to talk on the phone lines. That's why you can't call right now, because we've got Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com, and we're going to start looking ahead to the Browns and the Raiders this weekend. Of course, brings up memories of frosty fields and Red Right 88, at least to me anyways, Browns and Raiders. Not just that. I remember Eric Metcalf getting funky against the Raiders back in my younger days. I remember, of course, the Bo Jackson days when Bo Jackson was the most dangerous, man. Everybody wanted to be the Raiders on Tecmo Bowl, man. You couldn't mess with Bo Jackson. Plus, man, he was playing two sports legit. Not like Deion Sanders playing two sports, like all-pro playing two sports. But anyways, yeah, Raiders, couple of good eras there during my lifetime of Raiders-Browns football. It is what it is now, which is not the same. The luster has come off, as they would say, but it's going to should be a physical matchup here, and it should be one that is different than last week, as far as the fact that there is no, not that look, I'm not giving you that looking past anything garbage, man. The Browns aren't that team to do that, but after getting beat by the winless team last week, there's nothing to be said about it happening 2 weeks in a row that we won't be saying on Monday. For that reason alone, I expect the Browns' focus to be much, much sharper this week, really, for that reason alone. But we'll talk about this, and of course, Jeff Gorman, as he pointed out last week, some of the things that the Jaguars did well. We'll do that again here. Scouting report on the Raiders. Let's kick it off. Go to the phones. Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com with us now. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great, J-Rock. I'm coming to you from a mystery location.
As always.
I am actually in beautiful Bethesda, Maryland, of all places. I'm hanging out with my brother. My wife and I are about to go out to a Christian Speech and Leadership Conference. Remember, last year when I was previewing the Browns and Packers, we were at this in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and this year it's in Maryland. So we're out here hanging with the bros.
There you go, man. I was going to say, what are you doing? Bethesda, the FBI and the CIA out there or something like that? I don't know about you, Jeff Gorman, man. I'm going to have to watch my P's and Q's. You may be spying on me. Maybe I've always thought, I've always said, that Jeff Gorman guy, man, whenever you meet him, he looks like a spy. He looks like one of those guys who's got the spy cam pen in his pocket there, man. And you never suspect the guys that look like you. Never suspect them.
The only way they'll be able to catch me is using that machine on person of interest.
Oh, man, I love it. Jeff, all right, well, that's cool, man. Coming from enemy territory, coming from near Baltimore. Boo, hiss.
That's right.
Man, I'll tell you. Don't do anything. And if you do anything, don't YouTube it. You may find yourself in a bit of trouble. I'm just saying, man. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. But if they do, don't be dumb enough to videotape it. Let me just put it that way. Remember when that was a story for like 3 days?
That was crazy.
But anyways, let's talk a little Browns, man. Did they spit the bit last week? Absolutely, against the Jaguars. I guess before we even talk about the Raiders, you haven't really said much about it. Where are you at right there?
Well, the Raiders, I look at them pretty much like last week with the Jaguars. This really is an 0-6 team. This is really not a sleeping giant. This isn't a team that's, really come close too many times. This is a pretty bad team, and this is a team that the Browns should be. Of course, we know what happened last week, and I think there will be major panic and wailing and gnashing of teeth if the Browns do it again. I think in this case, this is really going to be a big psychological test for the Browns because, you have that. We sort of went from last week saying, wow, what if we win 3 in a row? My brother even called it Locktober. It's going to be Locktober, Jeff. We're going to beat the Jaguars. We're going to beat the Raiders. We're going to beat the Bucks. And I believed him. It made perfect sense. But now, after things turn around so quickly in this league that you're like, oh, geez, what if we lose to another winless team? And then, everything's going to come crashing down and, everyone's going to be calling for a Johnny football if that happens. But hopefully, again, if it turns around the other way, you beat the Raiders, and if you beat the Bucks, then you're sitting on 5-3, and then your first half of your season has been great. So that's the thing about football. Since there's only 16 games, every game is just of tantamount importance and can just send the entire city into a tailspin or just lift them up into ecstasy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure. Real quick to pause the Browns conversation, just going to say, I'll get to this a little later, but it came across me as breaking news here. I don't know if you saw it, Jeff. Joe Madden opts out immediately and is leaving the Tampa Bay Rays as manager here. Just happened in the last little bit. I'm telling you where he's going. He's going to the Dodgers. I'm just going to put that out there now. I had a funny feeling that he was going to end up there eventually. You watch. Don Mattingly's job is not going to be safe for long. But anyways, we'll talk about that a little later. I thought you may want to hear that because I know you're a baseball guy too. But
yeah, it's interesting.
Nobody expected that. I don't think a lot of people even knew he had the opt-out clause in his contract, but he had it, he used it, and he's gone. No longer the Rays manager, effective immediately. All right, so back to what we were talking about, though. Yeah, exactly. And, some of the differences, like last week, we talked about the lack of talent in certain positions, and we definitely focused on the places where Jacksonville was strong, which was up front, and them being second in the league in sacks at the time. And we saw that. There's one of the places that there's differences, because a lot of people are like, well, J-Rock, both of these teams lost every game this season. They lost them going back to last year, 10, 11, 12 in a row, however many it is. What makes this any different? This is the same thing. There's differences. Now, there's other places that the Raiders bring some strength, but, that defensive line, nowhere near the bite. Now, it's got some names, it's got some talent, but nowhere near the bite. They're near the bottom of the league in sacks early on this season.
That's right. You talk about the major differences between the Jaguars and the Raiders. It's between youth, and I wouldn't call it experience. I would call it age. I mean, the Raiders are in the unenviable position of being 0-6 and being the oldest team in the league. Now, that's not good. We're 0-6. Well, we're young, we're up and coming. No, they're the other way around. They're the oldest team in the league. And ironically, probably their oldest player is one of the best, and that is Charles Woodson. I mean, he's their leading tackler. He's their leading, guy in interceptions. I mean, he's, doing great. He's, like I say, he's 38 years old. And then they've got Carlos Rogers who's in his 30s, Justin Tuck on the defensive line. So this is a very old team, and most of the age is over there on the defense. So pretty much at this point, it's going to be like what you see is what you get, with the exception of two guys, and they're talking about the two top draft picks, Khalil Mack, who we're all salivating over, and Derek Carr. And Mack had a little bit of a slow start, but last week it all just came together for him. He had 11 tackles, including 10 solos and 3 behind the line of scrimmage. Now the thing is, everybody was counting on Mack to be the big pass rush guy, but it turns out he's been a lot better against the run, and that's somebody that the Browns are going to have to watch out for, because this is going to be a game where both teams have very bad run defenses, and somebody's got to establish the run, and they got to stop Khalil Mack from stuffing the Browns' running attack.
Absolutely. That was one of the places that I was going to go with you, was similarities between the Raiders and Jacksonville, both sides of the rushing attack. It's scarily similar how close their numbers are statistically, and of course, numbers can be used in either way, but both rushing attacks, Raiders and Jaguars, came in at league low rushing by the time they came in. I don't remember what Jacksonville's was, but it was very close to the Raiders, who are less than 70 yards a game on the ground as a team. So that's one thing there, because as we know, they have runners. They have people that can go with the ball. Jacksonville, Denard Robinson came out of nowhere and did what he did. So there's that side of it. And then on the other side of the ball, they are one of the worst in the league. I think they're 29th or 30th against the run, giving up over 150 yards a game, which the Browns are as well. So, but there as well, similar in those two areas, the Browns have to do the opposite of what they did last week. They have to run the ball, and they have to stop the run. They have not been able to stop the run